Hello and welcome once again to this conversation at Strong at Home. I'm Dr. Brenda Murphy and I'm an educational psychologist with Sail Away Learning and Academy. And we are here to provide for you encouragement, inspiration, and information. And we are so delighted to welcome back again Chris Sutphin. Hello, Chris. It's so good to have you back. I
Hi
love
guys.
to ask.
Yeah, we're practicing our protocol.
I know, and when we get started, we can take it off. But I wanted everyone to see that is what you are doing day in and day out at your school,
It is.
and tell us a little bit. Chris was with us in May when we were just feeling our way around what's going on with COVID. How is education going to survive in this? And Chris is a special education teacher and an excellent one. And we've loved our conversations. And he's going to give us an update on what's going on in his part of the world. So, welcome again, Chris, and give our viewers a little bit of background about who you are and where you are and what your passions are.
Well, thank you, Dr. Murphy, and it's good to be back with you guys again, just hopefully to share something. My passion's teaching and special education. When we started this back in March, I think everyone was it was just an uneasy feeling. There was a lot of questions, but here at Campbell County, we're actually through our 9-week grading period now. So we've got 25% of the grading period or of the year out of the way. And as everybody's sort of got comfortable. I mean, you're never comfortable, but you're more comfortable in dealing with what we have to deal with. And things have drastically improved. Our administration and our local school board. I mean, we're doing everything we can to try to make this as normal as possible.
Well, it sounds like being 25%. Are you breathing a little easier these days than you were, say, back in August?
Well, absolutely. And, of course, every day there's something new. But yes, it's much easier now kind of having something to, you can make your preparations versus in March preparing for the unknown. At least
Right.
now we know what we're dealing with and there's ways to cope with it. And we're doing well. I'm very pleased with it.
What are some of the solutions your school district has put in place? For those who don't know, Campbell County is a rural county in mostly, would you say Northeast Tennessee, more
Yeah, yeah.
Northeast Tennessee? And it's lots of back roads and hollers and
Mountains.
yeah, mountainous terrain, which makes it difficult often for kids to come to school when the weather is really bad. And so I know one of our big concerns when we talked in the spring since no one was in school, were the kids who were back in the mountains, unable to get connectivity even here where I live, which is not quite as rural as Campbell County, that we have pockets where internet is almost non-existent.
Well, and much of the same of that is here. I mean, we have hot spots set up in the parking lot at school that parents can come in and get assignments. And, we had handed out so many laptops for those who may have internet access, but not necessarily, a device to use it on. So we have had that. And, of course, we're just the old fashioned packets for those that are, really, really at a disadvantage technology wise.
So what is the plan that your school is following? Is it in person? Is it all virtual? Is it what is the protocol that has been put together for your county?
Well, there was a virtual plan put in place, and it's a distance learning plan that parents were given an option to sign up for, and we're in person as well. I mean, it was kind of left up to them, and so we're doing both ways.
What
It's
what
been
percentage of your families have chosen in person as opposed to the virtual?
I really wouldn't even begin to know what to say as for an exact percentage.
Yeah, but you have plenty of them in school, and for you in special ed, that was
Yes,
our conversation in May, was this is very difficult because there are many special ed students that need the consistency, and even over the summer you have concerns for their progress academically. And
absolutely.
so what have you been experiencing during this first 9-week session with your students in particular?
Well, I mean, I found with my students and our special ed population, those students want to be in school.
Yeah,
Um, Now there is some concerns where the family has concerns where maybe some grandparents or guardians or whatever may not be as healthy and are scared, of the situation. And we're adapting to those students too. But still with special ed, there's nothing like a hands-on classroom. You
absolutely.
know, I mean, we try to do things to the best. And I use the words, with our packets that we send home, that's more of a maintenance learning to me because it's hard for us to send home paperwork to teach new skills.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely.
so, I mean, we're excited about the ones that we do have with us in person, and it's a blessing to us and the students because it does give us a sense of normalcy, even though we're wearing these masks and trying to keep our classroom socially distanced and things like that. It's a with special ed, that's a tall task in itself.
Absolutely. Yeah, because with the mount now, are your mask you're wearing today? Tell us a little bit about it because it has something special on it. I'm sure that means something to your students, but maybe not to those that are listening to our conversation.
Well, I mean, my mask, I wear it with pride. It's our school colors, it's our county. And I think if my students see me with this on, then I think it's encouraging for them to attempt to do that. And with special ed students, it's hard even to have coverings, because we deal with all forms of disability. So some do, some do not. But I wear my orange and blue with pride.
Now, in the special ed category, you said you deal with all kinds, and of course, you deal with the deaf. I'm sure that there's some hearing loss in there,
Hmm.
and that maybe they have learned to rely on lip reading to a
Yes.
certain extent. So, how are you handling those students? How are they
Well,
working?
we're fortunate. I mean, I don't mean to use the word fortunate, but we do not deal with a lot. I mean, we do have some hearing loss students, and as long as if I'm distanced from them, I can pull my mask off, where they can visually see my lips and things like that. But we accommodate those students to the best we can. If they need to see my lips, and even for myself. And it's funny because I find it hard for myself to hear with my mask on. That don't make much sense, but I do.
Yeah, well, I think that's true, and I think that even in shopping situations with the glass barriers there, with
Yes,
a mask on both people, it's really hard to hear and understand what the other person is saying.
sure.
It's an interesting phenomenon, and so when you went into this year, what were some of your concerns or fears, and how have those been met during the course of this year?
Well, I mean, of course, your concerns and fears is the health and safety of our students first.
Yes.
And once we got in here and we saw that our kids were anxious to be back in school. So for me and in my classrooms, things have been fairly normal. Um, there's really not a fear in our classroom that maybe you would find in other places. Like I said, they were excited to get here.
Yeah. And in your school, is a mask for students optional or required? I know it's
Now, a
different.
mask for our students is optional,
Okay.
and a mask for our teachers and staff is recommended.
Okay.
So all of our staff are doing a tremendous job, of trying to prevent and take every caution that we can.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to. And um, Hopefully this will run its course soon. And Chris, when you and I talk, I always enjoy talking about your views about special education because
Mhm.
we're in sync in that.
Yes.
And you have been a special ed teacher for how many years now? I hate to ask you, but no, it's been you're very
This is, I started in 2001, so 19 years.
yeah. So you've been there, and from that experience, I know that parents or um, grandparents or guardians, or even maybe a child himself who may be listening to our conversation and have heard that term applied. And it's almost like I hate to say death sentence because it's not a death sentence, but
No.
it's not a good predictor. It's not something that you want to have put on someone. But it is a term that is important in traditional education. Although private educators, tend to just I can choose not to use it, but it is something across
Right.
our community that has been in place. But I love your approach to it, and if you could share with those that are joining us, tell us your view on what special ed is and what it is not.
Well, I mean, to me, it's not a free pass. I mean, that's the thing that I would love for everyone to understand. It's not an easy way out. You know, it is an alternate way of learning. It may be a slower pace learn. You know, it may be a hands-on approach to learning. It's not a death sentence. It's not a
Yeah,
death sentence. It's not a
it's not a limiting. It's not
it
limiting.
no, it's not. I mean, we have students, and I'm so proud to say we have students that went to college, graduated college. They're on the football team. They're on the basketball team. You know, it's just a different method or a different way to educate children to the best of our ability, and to see that they fulfill their goals that they have set forth in their life.
Yeah, and that just because an individual doesn't show all their ability and their knowledge by taking multiple
Mhm.
choice fill in the blank test doesn't
Exactly.
mean that their ability to learn and their body of knowledge is any less than someone else.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And they are out of the box thinkers, and
Right.
very often once we get them into a situation where they are affirmed, not put down, affirm for
Mhm.
what they really can do and know, and not put down because of what they can't do, which in the real world, how many of us actually fill in the blank tests in our daily lives?
Oh, exactly.
you know
Exactly.
I mean, even a CEO of a company, or a physician in his work, or a nurse, or the owner of a business.
Yeah.
None of the things that are required of students and say you're a failure when you can't do it are really required
Mhm.
in life. And so I've loved that you have taken, and your attitude is taking these wonderful young people and
Mhm.
saying, this is what you can do, giving them the courage and encouragement to go on to college or advanced training in some way. And they can be huge contributors because they think differently often than
Well,
the
and even on my behalf, you know, when we use the term special education, we special education is to see that we get the most out of an individual student. That to me is what it is. If it's going to college, then we're going to. Our goals are to see that we're providing that student what he or she needs to go to college. If they are wanting to become a welder, our goal is to see that that student is given an opportunity, you know, and presented challenges along the way that he or she can become a welder. You know, and it's all the way down to just basic living skills. You know, special education is a broad realm of people. So,
absolutely.
you know, and that's why we do our IEPs, and that's why we have our assessments to see what these kids want to do, and then challenge them to meet their expectations and to be productive members.
You said a word that just kind of struck me as we were talking, that we talk about special education. You use the term, you just added a syllable to that. You said specialized education.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if we look at it in those ways, through that lens, rather than this kind of like this phrase special ed that has one kind of connotation, but we look at it in terms of specialized education, that really speaks to the heart of what you and a lot of your colleagues that are in special ed in that field
Right.
are doing. So,
Well, and we take great pride in that, and then like you said earlier, it's happened for years. Special education has been a label, and I resent that. Yes, it is special children who need an education. It
yes.
just, and whatever form that may be.
Yeah, it was. Wouldn't it be wonderful if all kids could really get that?
Yes.
Because I know there are kids that come to our school, and there are kids, we call them falling through the crack kids, because they don't really meet criteria for special ed, and they flounder in a classroom, traditional classroom. And we give, kind of like you say, a little specialized education. Most of them we hope will return to either a public or a more traditional private education. So, it's wonderful here in our conversation, Chris, that we aren't talking about what limitations have been, whether it's from COVID or anything else, but we're talking about opportunity.
Right. And that's the main thing, is opportunity. What will tomorrow bring?
Yes.
We don't know.
No.
We don't know. We only know what we want tomorrow to bring. And I think as long as we approach anything, education, life, if we approach it with a positive attitude, good things will come out of it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, that is a word of wisdom. We've gone a little bit over time on our conversation, Chris. We always do, because we have so much to talk about. So I'll end as I usually do. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Peace to you, Chris. Thank you so much, and hope you have just a wonderful rest of your school year. It's a joy to talk to you.
Thank you, Dr. Murphy, and God bless.
Thank you.